Am I overreacting to my girlfriend going to her ex's birthday party without telling me? I'm a 29-year-old male and I've been dating my girlfriend Lena, who's 27, for about 10 months. Things have been great overall. She's funny, smart, independent, and we've talked about maybe moving in together next year. No major issues until this weekend. So here's what happened. On Saturday, Lena told me that she was going out with a few friends from college. Cool, no problem. I had plans to watch the game with my brother anyway. But the next day, I saw a photo on one of her friends' Instagram stories with the caption that said, "Happy birthday, Jason." I recognized Jason. He's her ex, the one she dated for about 3 years and broke up with about a year before we met. They were pretty serious from what I'd gathered. I've never made a big deal about it because she always told me that they were on decent terms but not really close. So naturally, I asked her later that night, "Hey, were you at Jason's birthday thing?" She looked a little surprised and said, "Yeah," but quickly followed up with, "It wasn't a big deal. It was a group thing and I didn't think it mattered." I didn't raise my voice or accuse her of anything. I just said I wished she'd mentioned it beforehand. She got kind of defensive and said I was making something out of nothing and that it's not like she was hiding it. But she kind of did hide it. I mean, I don't want to be controlling, and I know people stay friends with their exes, but the fact that she didn't even mention she was going to his birthday rubs me the wrong way. It just feels off. I'm not accusing her of cheating or anything, but I can't shake the feeling that she intentionally kept it vague so I wouldn't ask questions. She said she didn't think I'd care, but the whole thing just makes me feel kind of sidelined. So am I overreacting? I don't really think this guy's overreacting here. It's definitely sneaky behavior on Lena's part. She didn't do anything necessarily egregious or relationship ending, but if you're going to go to your ex-boyfriend's birthday party, I think you should probably let your partner know that. That's something that I would maybe want to know. I'm definitely not someone that believes that you need to know where your partner is at all times in a relationship. You should absolutely have trust in your partner in that way, but this is one of those things that you might want to let your partner know, otherwise it's going to seem like you're omitting the truth or hiding things. There are some updates to this story, so let's go ahead and read those really quick and then come back with some closure. Let's take this guy with us too. Come here, get in the bucket. Come on. All right, here's the update from the same day, but just 8 hours later. Thanks again to everyone who responded. A few comments really stuck with me, especially the ones that pointed out it's not necessarily about where she went, but about how she handled it. I ended up bringing it up when she came over this evening. Nothing dramatic, I just said I'd been thinking about it and that it bothered me. Not even the party itself, but the fact that she didn't mention it. She didn't seem surprised that I brought it up. There was a bit of an eye roll at first, but she didn't push back much, mostly quiet. The energy in the room shifted right away. She said something vague about not wanting it to be a thing. Not much of an apology, more like trying to smooth it over and move on quickly. And maybe that's what I'm doing too, in my own way. Afterward, we just kind of moved around each other for the rest of the evening. She left very quickly after that. And right now I'm reading the comments on my original post. I'm not sure where I land on all this. Nothing exploded, but it also didn't feel resolved. She didn't seem interested in understanding why it bothered me, just in making sure that it didn't mess with the vibe. It's not a breakup level thing, not yet, but it does feel like something has shifted in our relationship. That's all for now. Just figured I'd follow up. Thanks again. There's a bunch of comments underneath that update that are like, break up, break up, break up. She's manipulating you, break up. And I don't necessarily disagree. I think, maybe it's not a breakup thing for me. I agree with him, or with this poster, that it's not a breakup level thing. I think she's definitely not appreciating his perspective very much or giving him much empathy at all. But let's go ahead and read the last update here, which is 10 days later. Okay, here's the last update. Figured I'd give one last update, even though things really didn't go the way I'd hoped. It's been about 10 days since I posted. Things between me and Lena have really never got back to normal after that night. We had a few awkward conversations in the days after, nothing explosive, but I could tell there was tension. She kept saying I was overthinking it, that it wasn't that deep, but the way she avoided the topic or brushed it off made me worse. The whole situation stuck with me more than I'd expected. It wasn't even about the party itself anymore, it was how she'd handled it. It became pretty clear that we look at communication and relationships really differently. I felt like I couldn't fully trust her to be upfront, and once that feeling crept in, it was hard to shake. We ended up having a more serious talk this past weekend. She admitted she didn't tell me about the party because she knew how I'd react, which kind of confirmed the whole point for me. I don't really want to be with someone who feels like they need to hide things to keep the peace. We didn't fight. It was more of a mutual quiet decision to end things. Just felt like we were on different pages and forcing it wasn't going to help either of us. It sucks, obviously, and I didn't want it to go this way, but in hindsight, I'm glad I trusted my gut. That uneasy feeling never really went away, and I think I'd rather deal with the short-term hurt
hurt now than drag this out. It's unfortunate that they broke up, but you do have to be on the same page about communication in a relationship. And I mean, I think Lena's right to a certain extent. It really shouldn't be that big a deal what she did, but it's the fact that she wasn't upfront about it. It's the fact that she was trying to hide where she was going in the first place that I think would bother me too. But this poster absolutely did the right thing by breaking up with her. She didn't have the respect for him to tell him that she was going to go hang out with her ex-boyfriend. It's lying by omission, but it's still lying. He should be with someone that he feels like he can trust, and when you feel like you can't trust someone, that's not great. Okay, I'm clearly out of things to say about this story, so let's move on to the next one here. Okay, here's the next story. Am I the jerk for telling my neighbor to grow up, get a life, and get over the fact that I painted my house a color he doesn't like? Here's the story. I bought a house in a community without an HOA. I wanted my home to be my home, and that includes making it look the way that I want. I also chose a neighborhood that already has fun, colorful houses instead of just plain earth tones. I finally got to the point where I could repaint my house. I picked a soft, peachy color with sage blue and soft, dark pink accents. My neighbor Paul absolutely hates it and has been complaining since we started the project. He also made his opinion known that he hates our front lawn. Lots of wildflowers and sunflowers, fun garden flags, a little free library, etc. Each and every time I've told him that I don't care. Truly, I don't. I've suggested a few times that maybe he'd be happier in an HOA community that has control over everything and forces people into having earth tone homes. Paul got angry when I suggested that and said that he's lived in his home for over 15 years and shouldn't have to move. I told him, okay, well, you have to learn to live with a little color. Last weekend, I was putting in pavers that my niece and I had painted together. They're all things like ladybugs, turtles, birds, etc. in fun colors. I adore them, and my niece is so excited she gets to be a part of my home. Paul came over to complain yet again, saying it was all an eyesore, and my niece was there, so I just told him it's time for you to grow up and get over what I'm doing with my house. He got even angrier and told me I have no right to talk to him this way. I told him to just go away and get a life. If he has so much free time to complain about a colorful house, maybe he should get a hobby. He stormed off, calling me a nasty piece of work. My niece was cracking up on the side. For the record, no one in my family is uptight. We really don't care about cursing. I know some people clutch their pearls around it around kids. She's 15, but I'm sure she says worse. Anyway, one of the other neighbors came to tell me that he's been flapping his yap about how disrespectful I am to talk to him this way. She told me she knows he's a pain, but he has been in the neighborhood forever and it's worth being nice to him. I don't know, is telling him to get a life that big a deal? Am I the jerk? I think we can all agree that this poster is definitely not the jerk. When you buy a property, especially not in a community with an HOA, you can do whatever you want with your home, and this neighbor has no authority to tell anybody what they should be doing with it. It sucks, you don't get to pick your neighbors, and sometimes your neighbors are just annoying or bad. I think sometimes I am the bad neighbor in my neighborhood. The other night, we got the cops called on us because we were having an extremely loud karaoke night in our backyard, and we were singing very poorly, and the cops showed up and told us to stop, so that's understandable, and my neighbors would be right to be upset with us. But you know, I'm correcting, I'm trying to do better, we're not going to do another karaoke night, or it won't be outside if we do it. Okay, alright, anyways, let's go to the next story here. This is the first iron vein that I found in this world, which is kind of crazy, but considering I don't have an iron farm yet, I'm pretty stoked to find this. Alright, let's read another one here. I think my girlfriend has been trying to get me fired from all my jobs. I'm shaking. Please help me. Okay, this poster writes, I'm male, 24 years old, and I've been with my girlfriend, female, 29, let's call her Janice, for 2.5 years. I just finished my education when we started dating, and I've been doing all sorts of jobs since, sometimes 2 at a time. I did this to expand my resume and gather job experience. I worked in cafes, bookstores, a library, a grocery store, and even as an English tutor. Most of these jobs lasted about 3 to 5 months. My shortest stay was 2.5 weeks, my longest was about 8 months. But since I didn't have a hard time applying for new positions, I tried to block it out, though it was kind of eating me up internally. People called to complain about me, people left bad reviews about me, people used my employee Wi-Fi access to look up sketchy things on the internet under my name, former employees called to inform the business about me, right name and all, and much more subtle stuff that I couldn't disprove. But I was too anxious to do anything about it. I just told my girlfriend. She comforted me, she supported me every time I got my life ruined by these people, but I kept getting new jobs and they kept finding me. Fast forward to this week. I currently hold a part-time position at a bakery. I've been working there for 2.5 months. It's going okay, but my manager approached me about something regarding our Google reviews. Someone was complaining about an employee and their description of them could only really fit me. It was on a day where we were pretty short-staffed, so I could have been the only person in the store that day. Anyway, the review contained some pretty elaborate and nasty comments about me. This has happened on 1 or 2 of my jobs already. I told my manager that it was all pretty bogus and that someone had a vendetta against me, as has happened before. She believed me and told me she'll dismiss the comment. On my break, I checked out the review for myself. Their username was kind of stupid. I'm not going to type it out here since I still work there, but I'll just call them Mick Myrtle, as it was in the same range of sounds, where it sounds a little bit fake, but not really. Anyway, I went home and didn't tell Janice about it. She's heard it all before, and I didn't see the point in complaining about another time where I had almost lost my job. We chat, all's well, and she leaves the room. Her phone's on the table, and suddenly she gets a notification, an email from Google. I don't remember what it said exactly, but the pop-up read something along the lines of, "Mick Myrtle, manager has responded to your review." My heart dropped. I've been trying to ignore it since. This was 2 days ago, but it just fits the picture of the bad reviews I've been getting. It fits the picture of the phoned-in complaints to my workplaces that I've received in the past. It fits the picture of all the sketchy things I've been fired for. Why would she do that, though? I'm looking for an explanation. This literally can't be. She's the only thing keeping me sane. I don't know what to do. This is already a kind of insane story, but these updates that I'm about to read get a little bit stalkery. If that kind of thing bothers you, then you've been warned here. Okay, here's the update. First of all, yes, we broke up. That's why I'll be referring to her as my ex from now on. Anyway, let's start from the beginning. On Monday of the following week, I couldn't take the uncertainty anymore. I told my ex that I needed her booking account to book a train
ticket to visit my dad for a few days. She complied, and when she was in the shower getting ready for work, I booked my ticket and started looking through her emails. After some digging, I found an email to herself which contained a spreadsheet file. I sent the file to myself, printed it out, and took a screenshot. Why? The spreadsheet contained every single piece of information about me that there was. Numbers, emails, passwords, work times, colleagues, their numbers and social medias, as well as some emails and passwords that she used for accounts to ruin my life with. Everything was on there, conveniently sorted for her to ruin my life as efficiently as possible. When she left for work, I decided it would be best to immediately pack my stuff. Nothing that mattered would be left behind. I felt like a wanted man, like I was being hunted, despite nothing being seemingly out of place. I called my boss, told her that I would take some time off work, and headed out to see my dad. Needless to say, the sanity was needed. I cried about everything I saw. I panicked for a whole 2 days straight about how my life was ruined, and I didn't know what to do. I had to sleep on the couch in the guest room because I was so scared of my ex coming in. He handled it like a champ. He called the police, a lawyer, and most recently a therapist for me because I was in the most horrible state of my entire life. We're currently sorting out the legal stuff. I haven't talked to my ex yet, except for letting her know that it's over and that she's a sick psychopath. My dad handled the rest. I changed all my passwords, and now I'm looking for a place to live. Sorry for the brief update, my mind's a bit tangled. Okay, and then there's one final update from a couple years later, actually. The poster writes, "We ended up not taking her to court over it. This is quite controversial considering the abhorrent things she's done to me, but I do not regret this decision. The satisfaction of seeing her get punished would have been overshadowed by the sheer amount of dread, anxiety, and fear I would have faced from those court hearings. I was a nervous mess. I couldn't eat for weeks without throwing up. My dad had to settle the most important stuff because I physically couldn't. On the bright side, our lawyers settled the situation beautifully in private, and I haven't had any problems with her since. I've moved houses, got a stable job, and found closure and justice that I was looking for through therapy. We've had zero contact since then, and I still haven't read any of the messages she sent me those years ago. Of course, I'm nowhere near done with my journey. I still have all of my social media accounts set to private and insist on keeping a low profile online. I still get anxiety, especially when there's problems at work, but I haven't had any panic attacks in months, and my therapist has been great. I don't know what she's doing. I don't know if she's moved on or if she's seen this story float around the web. I don't know how much she knows about how my life is currently going, but nothing's happened since then that I could attribute to her scheming. It's always tempting not to believe stories like this just because they sound so outrageous, but stuff like this does happen. I mean, last video we had a story of a boyfriend stalking his girlfriend, and now we have a girlfriend trying to destroy her boyfriend's life. I mean, it is crazy. I said it last time, I'll say it again, it's really terrifying to be dating someone and then find out they're just not the person that you thought they were. This is genuinely psychotic behavior, like having a spreadsheet of your boyfriend's jobs and how you're going to destroy him and get him removed from those jobs is just wild. But I think the important takeaway from this story is that there's always somebody in your life that you can go talk to and have help you if you're in a situation like this. You can always talk to somebody. But I think I would be genuinely fearful for the rest of my life that this person was going to come out of the woodwork and try and get me removed from a job or try to ruin my life in some way.